Welcome back, guys. I've got a very interesting watch here. It's from Phoibos. It's a very 1970s vintage inspired, especially with that case, that blocky case. It reminds me of a 1970s Seiko. So a couple of models, really nice, really sort of quirky and stuff. But look, it's an interesting watch. It's just been released. It's a 300-meter automatic high beat Miyota. There's a couple of flaws that I found on this that I'd really like to see change, but overall the look is very cool, very nice. But I'll get stuck into it and I'll tell you guys what this watch offers. Full disclosure, the watch has been sent out to the channel. This video is sponsored by Phoibos. We don't have to send this watch back. However, apart from that, they have no other input into this review. So let's get straight stuck into it, guys. What we have, I measure a case diameter of exactly 41 mil. The case height comes in at exactly 12.8 mil to the top of that double dome sapphire crystal. The lug to lug distance is 50.1 millimeters and a lug width of 22 mil. Now that crown is a 6.3 millimeter crown. It's signed, it's a screw down crown. It offers 300 meters of water resistance and the weight comes in at exactly 178 grams, size to my 18 centimeter wrist. And as you can see on my wrist, it looks like a very 1970s vintage sort of a vibe. Very retro, very cool, flat. There's a good combination of brushing and high polished areas. I don't know if you can see, there it is. So you can see a high polished area on that bevel, high polished across here, brushing on the top, brushing on the side. So it's cool, it's nice. It picks up the light in different areas. But as you can see, that lug to lug distance of 50.1 or 50 exactly it should be, 50 mil, it's quite large. I've got a 60 millimeter diameter, width from there to there. So 50 mil is pretty much sitting on the edge. But the height itself, coming in at 12.8 millimeters to the top of that crystal, is really nice, especially for a 300 meter water resistance. And the comfort factor on this bracelet has also been good. The bracelet, as you can see, it's 22 millimeters and it tapers down to 19.8. A decent clasp, beautiful finishing, but overall a very vintage sort of a vibe. So let's get it off the wrist and let's check it out. Now, having a look at that dial, as you can see, this one's the brown. There's quite a few different colorways. This particular one's brown with a few, it's black at the edges, but it's got a vintage sort of a texture to it, which is quite nice. I think it suits the dynamic of the actual watch itself. The movement, as we spoke about, it's a Miyota 9015 high beat. We'll unscrew the crown. It pops out, as you can see, 2 clicks, and we can hack that movement and we can adjust the time. A single click will allow us to adjust the date. As you can see, the date is at the 6 o'clock, 24th, 25th, 26th, nice and easy. The winding experience is, well, a little bit harsh. A Miyota is always going to be harsh. That's how they are. So there's a little bit of harshness if you compare this to a Swiss movement. And the latch down experience, latches down first time, that's buttery smooth, it locks in, and you've got 300 meters of water resistance. Now the bezel on this watch is a 120 click unidirectional bezel. It goes in one direction. It's got a ceramic insert. It's lume filled, as are those markers, handset. The lume on this is fantastic, and I'll show you guys a lume shot, but the action of this particular bezel is really nice. It's precise, it's crisp, there's no back play, as you can hear, and it locks in really nicely and it's really accurate. There you go, spot on. Now I did speak about the lume, and the lume on this particular watch, there's 2 different types of lume. There's 15 layers of Superluminova BGW9, and there's also 15 layers of old radium on the seconds hand, as well as the dots that are around the markers. So looking at the lume, it's bright, it's legible, it's crisp, there's no expense spared on the lume, so that's a really good job, well done. Now looking at the crystal of this watch, it's a double dome sapphire. It's got 3 layers of anti-reflective coating on the underside, and it's been doing a really good job. In fact, it's so difficult to tell that it's a double dome because it's almost flat. It's almost flat in its profile, but as far as legibility, it's been really good. There's no washout of the dial, so another good positive there. Looking close at the bracelet of this watch, it's a very unusual design. You've got solid end links. They're female, so they drop straight down, which is good, but because they're a 9-link attachment, they've got screw pins, and what I found is that when you remove one of those links to adjust it, it's very difficult. It's actually very difficult to get those links back in. Most of the links were fine, As you can see, that fits in quite nicely, but there was a couple of them that actually I couldn't get that through. I struggled to push that to sit in its slot. So could be quality control, but yeah, the majority of the links were actually fine, but one or two of them I just couldn't get them to slot in. So I took a couple out from this side and I really struggled to get back in before I can put the screw back in. But on the other side, I took out one, and the actual adjustment, trying to get all those links to line up and push them back in, was very easy. So it's unusual. There's a bit of tightness in that bracelet in a couple of areas which might need to be addressed. But as far as the swivel itself, it's milled. As you can see, it's solid. You've got a press clasp with a very thick gauge, as you can see, 3 micro adjustments and twin triggers. And again, 3 micro adjustments are pretty fine with a link this size, but again, it would have been nice to have just one more. One more would have been beneficial. Now the watch's price comes in at $480 US. However, they've got a code that if you use that code, you get an early bird of $80 US off, which makes it 400 bucks. So for that sort of price, I mean, it's a solid piece. It's relatively heavy at 178 grams, but I'll speak about the positives and negatives, what I've found throughout the week of this watch. And for me personally, that lug to lug distance of 50 mil or 50.1 that I measured, that's a potential negative for a lot of people. And for me, having a 60 mil width wrist, not too bad. I don't mind it because it is a very 70s retro vibe. That's pretty cool, but it is a negative on a lot of smaller wrists. Another negative that I found on the watch is, like I said, those links. There are 9 link, and you look, it's very difficult on some areas. I struggled to put those into that, the male into the female, to push it in. It's one of those things that the tolerances are so tight. Although, like I mentioned, it didn't, on this side it was easy, on this side it wasn't. Maybe there's a quality control issue there, but that's another potential negative for you guys to look out for. The fact that it's only got 3 micro adjustments, look, it works for this size link. One more would have been great, and on the fly would have been even greater, but it is what it is. And on the dial itself, I found that that minute hand is just a little bit too short. You know, setting accurate time, you're so far away from those minute markers. It would have been great if it was extended a little bit longer, just for, you know, just for ease of use of setting the time properly. The hour hand itself is not too bad, but yeah, that minute hand needed to be a little bit longer, in my opinion. That's about it as far as negatives are concerned. With the positives, I think, look, you've got fantastic case finishing. The brushing and polish, the transition between the two has been really well done. So I think the quality of the case is really on a good level. The bezel action is excellent. I've really enjoyed that. The lume as well, 15 layers, has been really, it's bright. There's no expense spared there. I think the fact that it offers 300 meters of water resistance at that sort of height, coming in at 12.8 mil, is exceptional. So that's a real welcome addition. 2-year warranty. So that, yeah, look, the watch has got a lot going for it. At the end of the day, it's going to be subjective to you guys. Do you like the style? It's very retro, very 70s. Me personally, I like it. It's a little bit on the heavy side. At 178 grams, it is a little bit heavy, but that bracelet does seem to balance out that watch head, so that's not too bad. The new watch from Phoibos, it's quite an interesting piece. Get on their website and check them out, guys. I'll leave links in the description. And like I mentioned, if you get in the early birds, you get $80 US off. And they're normally $480. They're going to be at 400 bucks for the early birds. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts about this watch. Interesting piece, built well and very solid, very vintage 70s feel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video.